Welcome back to the PARCC assessment tutorials. This tutorial will focus on the different test items and some tips on how to navigate the various test items on the English Language Arts portion of the PARCC assessment. We are starting at the practice site for PARCC's practice tests, and that is practice.parcc.testnav.com, and then we are going to select practice test from the top menu and select English Language Arts to view the language arts tests. You scroll down to find the grade level that you would like to view. You'll notice these are all PBAs, which are the performance-based assessment. The end of year assessments are not here, so the samples are only the PBAs. So you select the grade level, and it asks you to select whether you want the standard version or the screen reader version. We're just going to go with the standard version for the tutorial. It brings us to the test navigation window that we can then begin. You'll notice there's 23 questions. We will not go through all 23 questions. We will just try to highlight the different types of questions within this English Language Arts assessment so that you can understand what kind of questions are being asked and how to navigate them. So we'll go ahead and start this section, and we come to the first item, which is a passage with two-part question that they have to use the material within the text to answer. The main thing that students need to understand when they are taking the PARCC assessment in the language arts is when you see a text box such as this, it is scrollable, which means that you'll see this little scroll bar that they need to either scroll on their wheel of their mouse, or they can drag the scroll bar down to the point where it comes to the end. If students do not realize that that's the case, they may just read what they see in the box, and that may not be enough text to answer the questions that are here. So that's one extremely important piece that students need to be made aware of. The next question is very similar, again, multiple choice. The next set of questions looks very similar, but this is an example of where students really have to read the questions carefully, because these are different than typical assessments that might have been given in the past. We have this same text that they have to refer to. The first one is a typical multiple choice question, but part B, you'll notice it says which two sentences from the passage best supports the gradual change in the answer from part A. So here now we can't just select one, we must select two sentences. So the student will have to select two of the answers that they believe best supports that answer to part A. And that is, again, a very important piece that students need to be aware of, because that is a change from typical traditional assessments. Again, we have multiple choice, so we'll skip through that. Here's a different type of question. Again, we have a scrollable text box that the student has to read the text, but here is where now they're going to drag and drop. So we have conflict, event 1, event 2, and a resolution. And here are the things that they can drag and drop based on what they've learned from reading the story. So I'm not going to even read these, but I'm just going to show you that they can be dragged and dropped to wherever the student wants to put them. They cannot put 2 in 1, so therefore if they want to change that one, they would have to X that, actually drag it to where they believe it would go, and then drag another one to that correct spot. So it just takes a little getting used to in terms of dragging it where it belongs. So that's a drag and drop question. This question actually shows a couple different features that students need to be aware of. One is we have the scrollable text box again, which is like the previous questions, but there's a new feature here that students need to be aware of, and that is these tabs here. This tab is for the boy's life, but we also want to make sure that students understand that they can flip between those two. So if they're comparing, which I believe this might be doing here, we have a comparison question. They can go back and forth between those two text features and get information from both of them on the same window, and that again is something that students need to be familiar with. And then this is a drag and drop where we can drag these to where they best fit, and that's just the typical drag and drop that we saw in an earlier question. Here is a written piece. Again, you see the two different tabs for being able to read the two different text selections, but here is where they can type with their keyboard to write their essay answer. So it's like an extended response question or constructed response question that they would type, and then they have an editor here where they can bullet list it, they can underline it, they can also italicize it, but there's also some other features here of copy and cut and paste, and that allows them to actually use different pieces of the passage. So if I want to copy this, and I guess your browser needs to make sure that it can support that. And that's one thing that you do need to make sure all of your computers are set up with the correct browser settings to allow these to work. But if the browser is set up correctly, you should be able to copy and paste things within that text box. You'll notice when I highlighted here, this is another feature that I did not show at this point, and that's the highlighting feature, where students can actually highlight parts of the text with different colors if they want to start comparing things, or they might go back and forth between and highlight different areas of the text. So that's another feature or tool that students need to be familiar with. So this is very similar to some of the same type of icons that you would find in a word processing document like Microsoft Word. So if students are proficient with that, they shouldn't have any problem navigating the essay pieces of the PARCC questions. Again, a multiple choice question that we will skip through. We've seen that. Here's one where we are looking at the strategy and evidence and claims, and you'll notice here we have these that they can then pull down and put under. They can select a strategy, one of these strategies, put it here, and then based on that strategy, now they would put what evidence they believe from the text supports that strategy. So drag and drop comparison type of question. Another multiple choice question. Another multiple choice question. Try to get to a different type of question here. Here's a new question that we have not encountered on our typical paper and pencil test, because this gives us some interactivity of a video. So we have a video window here instead of a text selection. It's a video window, so we can actually play the video. Depending on your connection speed.
My name is Craig Sappho. I'm the curator of Great Cats at the Smithsonian's National Zoo. The National Zoo has been breeding lions since the early 1900s.
So now the student will listen to that video clip and then answer the questions based on the video clip. So instead of just reading a text, now they are listening and viewing information and using that to answer the questions. So that corresponds to some of the English language arts standards on listening and gaining information from that type of evidence. Another video type question. Here we have a lot of things going on. Again, we see the text box here, but now you'll notice there's actually 3 different resources. We have 2 text resources and then a video resource. So the student really needs to engage in all 3 of those and then select the central idea that is developed in all 3 of those selections and then support it with a sentence that supports these different pieces from the text. So there's a lot of things going on there. So we can select the central idea of this and then select one sentence from each text that will support that. So this column refers to this reading passage. This column is this reading passage, and then of course the last column is the video. So they have to select one of the sentences from each one of those that supports the central idea. So you can see where there's multiple things going on here, and students really have to understand the meaning of the text and the video to make sure that they are selecting the correct answers for this question. So students really need to understand how to navigate the resources as well as what they need to select the correct answers with this type of question. Another essay question, but you'll notice again we have all 3 resources in one window. Another multiple choice reading passage. There's another one where they have to have a multiple select, multiple choice, a drag and drop with some details, multiple choice, and then finally an essay question, and that's the end. You can see that's the 23rd of the 23 questions. So now obviously we did not answer a lot of them because we were just scrolling through. We can go back and review the answers as we said, which ones weren't answered, which ones were. We can view them and then go back to the session. So this hopefully was helpful to allow you to see the different types of questions that are being asked in the English Language Arts version of the assessments and how students need to navigate and also use or answer some of these different types of questions such as drag and drops, the essay, multiple selects, and so on. We hope you enjoyed this tutorial on the English Language Arts portion of the PARCC assessment. You can look forward to other PARCC tutorials under our YouTube channel.